flight that should be a simple 11-hour shot across the Indian Ocean is from Johannesburg, South Africa to Perth, Australia. However, this flight takes a detour north, stopping in either Dubai, Hong Kong, or Malaysia to refuel, for a total flight time averaging over 18 hours. This ridiculously wayward detour is frustrating to say the least, but on the flat Earth map starts to make sense.
This is a time lapse of a flight flying from the northern hemisphere a quarter of the way around the Earth. Why don't the stars rise up into the sky as the plane dives over the curve of the Earth? If the Earth was curved, it would look like this animation. You would see the stars rising up from the horizon as they rotate due to the rotation of the stars.
Okay, so I guess we have two questions there. One is, why do certain flights take or make abnormal stops, which seem to contradict logic? Why would you go up, then down, then over, and then to your destination rather than straight to your destination? Unless you look at it from one of those overhead flat Earth maps that they pass around, then it looks like a direct line.
Yeah, you're getting a selection effect and you're forgetting about the economics. Airlines are trying to make money. Mm-hmm. And so they want to get as many passengers to the locations they got, and they want to do it in the most direct way. So, for example, if I take a flight from Los Angeles to, the Persian Gulf, my flight's going to take me virtually over the North Pole. It doesn't go straight. So from a flat Earth perspective, why are the pilots taking me over the North Pole, given that the straight line path from a flat Earth perspective would say, save the fuel?
Right.
Well, it turns out on a spherical Earth, the shortest distance between, say, Qatar and Los Angeles is a flight path that takes you over the North Pole. Or, if I were to go from, say, Los Angeles to Paris, I'm going to be flying over Greenland and Iceland because that's actually the shortest flight. Now, it's not the shortest flight of the Earth is flat, but it is the shortest flight if the Earth is a sphere. And so these airlines want to save fuel. And so they quickly figure out, okay, this is the way we can make the most money. But the example you saw there is, if you fly from South Africa to Australia, you're going to have problems getting enough passengers. I mean, you got Johannesburg and Perth, but how many people want to fly from Johannesburg and Perth? And so it's like what happens here in the U.S. I mean, for example, tomorrow I'm going to be flying to Virginia. But guess what? They're going to fly me to a hub, and then they're going to fly me to Virginia. So I'm going to be doing a path like this.
Right.
And the airlines have figured if we move everybody to a hub and have them change flights, we make more money. Yes, we're flying our planes a greater distance, but how many people want to go from Los Angeles to Roanoke? That's where I'm flying to tomorrow.
Right.
Roanoke is a small city, and so you don't have the passenger traffic to justify taking a plane of people over there. You're going to fly into a hub, have them switch planes, put them on a smaller plane. So, for example, I'm going to be going on a much smaller plane when I go from Atlanta to Roanoke. So.
I never thought of this.
Taking into account the economics, you can see why they take the flight paths that they do. But the flight paths actually demonstrate proof that the world must be a sphere, because the airlines are not going to waste fuel.
That's a really good point. And Dennis, this is why I kept saying there's reasons for these things. Like everything that you've brought up to me, everything that we're bringing up to Dr. Ross, there's reasons that make sense. Once somebody actually explains it to you, rather than just shows you a little clip and is like, why would they do this? If it was round, it makes more sense that they would go like this, or if it was flat, then it explains what it's doing.
Well, I was also amused by the image they showed of the Milky Way and saying, hey, if it's flat, it'd be going up like this. No, it wouldn't. It would be turning. And if you actually looked at their video clip, you could actually see the turning of the stellar constellations.
Oh, is that because of the way that they're flying around the globe?
Yeah, as you go north to south, you're going to see the stellar constellations turn upside down. And in the video clip they showed, you can actually see part of that effect going on. I found it ironic that the very video clip they showed us is proof that the world is a spherical body. Now, let me add one more thing. You know those 3 reflectors on the moon? There are different points along the moon. Guess what? It takes longer for the laser beam to reflect off one reflector on the moon than it does the other 2, because they're positioned at different spots on the moon. If the moon was a flat body, then we would expect that you would get the same return time at all 3 reflectors. You don't. So the moon being spherical, you actually get a different time path for light to travel from one reflector to the other than you do on the other reflectors. And that, again, is proof. Not only is the Earth a spherical body, the moon is a spherical body as well.
Would it matter if that example they showed where they're flying in a certain direction and the constellations or the stars, I guess, like barely move? Because in that one, it shows a little bit of change versus that 3D animation he shows where it looks like it should change a lot more. Does it matter if you're going north to south or if you're going east to west?
No, that does make a difference. I mean, so you'll see a different effect if you're not going directly north-south. But so, for example, I see a different effect when I go from New York to Australia than I would from New York to Santiago. But you will still see Orion, for example, turn upside down, even if you're going at an angle as opposed to straight north-south. In the 21st century, I'd say the easiest way to persuade a skeptic about the shape of the Earth, have them take a night flight from New York to Santiago, Chile. It's basically a north-south pass, and you're going over the equator. And tell them to book a window seat, and then look out the window as you fly at night from New York to Santiago, Chile. You know what you'll see as you look out the window? You'll see the constellations, the stellar constellations, slowly turn upside down as you fly from New York to Santiago. That can only happen if the Earth is a spherical body. If it's flat, you wouldn't be seeing that effect.
Has anybody taken that flight and recorded it maybe as it's happening?
Well, I've done a flight like that 3 times. And yeah, it's always a neat thing to look out the window and see, for example, the constellation of Orion. What's this, the Hunter? It's standing up in the north, and when you arrive in Australia or South Africa, it's upside down.